He's been a keynote speaker to loads of Fortune 500 companies, and I'm pretty sure that he will in the future list this company as one of his most important assignments that he's ever had, speaking for the Lufthansa City Center audience. He's going to speak about going next, uncovering the next wave of innovation and travel. It's my great pleasure to invite to the stage Chris Burkhardt.
This is Connect the Dots, the AI Impact Podcast. I'm Christoph Burkhardt. Welcome to the show.
If you wait too long in front of that door that just opened, the AI door is just open. But we don't know what's behind it, because you only get a sneak peek of what's going to happen behind that door. We all stand in front of that door, and we don't know exactly what's coming. And now you have two different approaches to deal with that door. One is you stand in front of that door, and you wait, and you try to understand, and you try to predict what's going to happen after we go through that door. We all know that we will go through that door eventually. But anyone here who believes we will not use AI? You already do. So that's kind of over. You kind of went half through that door already. But the approach is we try to analyze everything we can. We try to look at every trend we understand to figure out what is going to happen once we go through that door. And the other approach, and that's where I live for the past 13 years, I've been in Silicon Valley. And those guys, they don't think about what's behind that door. They just run. And they burn a lot of money and a lot of talent and a lot of businesses on the way because they do not think what's after that door. And so we kind of have to find a balance of how we want to deal with this technology. It's coming, it's here, we have to deal with it. And I want to talk about these paradigm shifts because it's not the first time that we've had a paradigm shift like this, where a new technology is completely turning upside down how industries work, but we're still at the beginning. So we see now that in 5 years, we will have 99% of all factories in the world run without people. And you might have heard this picture that is created around this. There will be only 2 employees in every factory. There's going to be a man and there's going to be a dog. Right? The job of the man is to feed the dog, and the job of the dog is to keep the man from touching anything. This is what people say about factories next. And the question is, what in the travel industry works like a factory? Because if we look at what happened, the electricity comes in, that's a point solution. First, we can make this machine, rather than run on a steam, we make it run on electricity. So now we can move this machine. We can redesign the whole factory, and all of a sudden the whole factory looks different because we can move things around. Things can be far apart. It's not hot in there anymore, but you need a lot less people. And now digital technologies and data-driven management comes in, and they say, well, we don't need that many people anymore, so we can, a lot of automation happening. But these are, the beginning are always point solutions, and this is what we see in AI right now. So who of you has played with ChatGPT? Right, so this is a point solution where you see a large language model was created that learned to speak like us, or at least to write like us, and then now it speaks like us. But the idea behind that is just you take something that already exists and you cognify it. That is not disruption yet. That is not really innovation. That is just empowering the real shift that we're going to see. Electricity itself is just a technology, just like AI is a technology. What drives the change is when the system changes, because you start innovating around what you can do with this technology. If you just apply ChatGPT to something that exists already, you're just doing point solutions. Once you start thinking about how a whole system can shift, you get in the field of disruption. And disruption only happens because most people in an industry wait in front of that door. And some people go through and figure out how to change the system, and then that change of the system falls on your feet because you waited for that door to explain to you what to do. And this means whenever we look at a technology like ChatGPT, we look at an evolution of a device or a technology that is changing over time. And we don't know at every stage. We have no idea where this is going. Some jobs will disappear. Some things will disappear, and that's a good thing. Should we go into these? I'm just going to say one. But yeah, United Airlines has just decided not to hire more pilots. They have a huge problem finding pilots, so they just decided instead of putting more money down to find more pilots, they said, we don't invest in that. We hope the technology is far enough in 5 years that we will not need to hire pilots. And they say, we put one pilot in every cockpit instead of 2 or 3. That will save us a lot of capacity that we need. But how is that possible? So I want a pilot in my cockpit, right? I just don't want that person to touch anything. Same principle. Because I know the technology is better in 99.9% of all cases to fly this machine better than any human could. So this job will change. Because the human pilot is there for the one thing, the one case in which we couldn't train the machine to fly because there wasn't enough data. Right? The exceptional moments. That's what it's for. But flying a plane is very, very different from the jobs that you're doing. And I wrote a book before the last speech, and the title was Don't Be a Robot. Because if you are one, you will be replaced. Pilots are pretty much robots. So everyone dealing with human experience is not. But the question is, which parts of your job are actually dealing with human experience, and which parts are the robot parts? That's the question. We have 1,000 of these driving through San Francisco every day. This is Waymo, owned by Google, and they're driving fully autonomous in 6 months, meaning there is no driver in there. You call it like an Uber. You pay as much as an Uber. It comes without a driver or passengers. You just hop into a car, and yes, the first 3-4 weeks were pretty crazy. So you get into that car, and it's not slow. It's going. And what we need to understand is how they were trained, because there is often a misconception of how these algorithms are trained, and they're all trained by the same way. They look for patterns, but not in traffic. They don't look for what is good driving. Can I learn to drive well? No, what they did was look at a driver. So 2 cameras at the driver in this car. The driver drives, and the machine looks at the patterns and makes a prediction. So how is this person going to turn right next? Makes a prediction about that turn. If the prediction is right, because it gives feedback, you're driving, so you give feedback by driving, the machine learns, oh, this was right. I predicted it right, so the next time I can do it myself. And over time, because we have thousands of them, they learn to drive really well, and they drive like humans, but they're much better. They're much better drivers. And why is that? Because they got trained by a lot of people at the same time, and all they learned was uploaded to every other car, meaning every mistake that they made in the predictions was eliminated over all cars. And what that means in terms of data is that they were trained by us to have 10,000 years of driving experience. Every Waymo car has 10,000 years of driving experience. And now something funny happens. Because we know they're very good drivers, and they have radar sensors, and not just 2 eyes to the front like we. They have way more eyes. They see everything, and from far away. And they can even look around corners, because they have radar sensors. So crazy. They see a lot more. For me, this means when I see one coming up the street, and I want to cross the street, I just cross the street. Because I know they will stop. They will always stop. I wouldn't trust a human driver with that. But I do it to a Waymo car. And what this shows is that we are the reckless ones. We're afraid of the car making mistakes. Meanwhile, we are the ones making all the mistakes. We are the reckless ones in traffic. And this is one example where definitely a driverless car, we will look back in 10 years and say, how could we ever let humans drive? That was crazy. This was nuts. We're terrible drivers. This is so dangerous. But right now, it doesn't feel like that. And yes, the first 3 weeks in San Francisco, whenever we saw Waymo, we would all take pictures and film them. And we couldn't believe that they drove like this. And after 3 weeks, everybody is completely used to that. And this is how fast we move to accepting that AI is the new normal. Once they put it in front of you, you accept it within weeks. You think this is normal. How could we ever do this without AI? And this is how fast this is coming. And the interesting thing, so I have quite a few AI agents out there who work for me, right? So I trained them to do certain things. So one of them, of course, they go into meetings with me. If there's a Zoom meeting, my AI agents come with me. They write down everything, they transcribe everything, they summarize everything for me, then they send out the to-dos to everyone who was on the call. Cool. Until I found out that they also go into the call when I don't show up. And that meant my AI agent was in the meeting with other people, and I wasn't there. And I still got the summary and all the to-dos. I'm like, OK, this is cool. And this makes you think, like, how many meetings do you have where you actually don't need to go to because the machine does a better job? And then you figure out, oh, the other people were actually also not going. It was just a bunch of agents exchanging information, because the only moment where we are needed is the moment of decision. How many meetings are there in which you make a decision? Those are the moments where you are required. Whenever there is a decision moment, whenever the customer buys, whenever you try to explain to lead them to a decision, whenever you decide something about your business, this is where you are required. This is where you need to focus. Everything else, the AI will help dramatically improve. Now, this is an interesting thing. Wednesday, I was with a hospitality conference, and all the hotel people in the room were like discussing whether, oh, should we replace humans or not? Should we have fully automatic check-ins, or do we still want someone to greet you at the beginning of the hotel? And this is not a simple question. I know people have been discussing this for years, like in service. Do you want people to be there, or is a machine enough? And I hate hotel check-ins. Now, hotels sometimes treat it like this is a huge invention that now we don't need a checkout process. What the heck is a checkout process anyway? Right? This was not necessary ever. Maybe there was a legal constriction. At some point, there was a legal reason to do this, but no one needs a checkout process, and no one in 2024 needs a check-in process. So now if you put a terminal there, and I still have to enter all my data that I just put in booking.com anyway, I know you have a fancy terminal, but you have no data management. And you're definitely not using AI in any way. Meaning probably my hotel experience is not going to be great, because you can't even figure that out. And now you want to put a chatbot in my room. So I can do my room service with a chatbot, but you can't even figure out the check-in process. Right? So start with the things that are most annoying, and then think about the chatbot that you want to put in a room, which, by the way, is probably a terrible idea anyway. Like a chatbot in the room is cool for certain things, and this is what we need to figure out. What is it good for? What do we want it for? Do people want to talk to a chatbot? In most cases, no. And you see these cases. When people figure out they're talking to a robot, they change completely how they speak. That tells you everything. In some situations, yes, we want to talk to a robot because we just want to get things done and fast. And we just need information, or we just need a simple task to do. But if we want to talk to a human being, we do not want a robot to answer. So there are moments, and when I check into a hotel, I want there to be a human being to greet me. But I want that human being to know everything about me when I walk into the hotel. The same I expect from the hotline of the airline when I call them. They have my number. They have my entire file. I know. And I know there's no legal reason not to pull up my file. So they know exactly who I am. And they still pretend they don't. That's not good. That's not good, because it tells me you're obviously not doing everything you can. But we want human interaction. I want it in a hotel. I want it wherever there is service required, and I certainly would want it from a travel agent. I don't want my travel agent to be a robot. If I can have a human that uses a robot, I'm much happier. And I think this is true for most people. We like to interact with humans that use machines. We don't like to interact with machines that use humans. We're standing in front of that door now. Now take all your courage and just go through the door. Go through that door, try things out. Right now, no one knows where this is going, but it's going to be fun. And it's less scary than it looks once you're through that door. Good luck with that, and thank you very much.